Okay, so we're here on week 3. Came out on the porch today and had a cup of coffee, and there's that kiss of fall, just that little kiss of fall. We know it's still the summer, and we're starting to get beat up on some heat, but it's starting to feel like football weather. And here you guys are, 2-0, starting the season again, 2-0. Have Centerville this week, and then a kind of a buzzsaw of a schedule going forward. But let's look back at last week a little bit. We're 2-0. Teams finding ways to win. They're certainly facing adversity. They're certainly learning how to play from behind. But I still think that you're not happy with. Proud of the kids for persevering and finding a way to get it done, but still not happy with the engine that's your offensive side of the football.
Yeah, you said it. That's exactly how we feel. We are extremely proud of our kids. We are impressed at times with just their resilience and how they find ways to make stuff happen. And again, I've said it before, that mental shift or change here has been a breath of fresh air, because in the past we found a lot of ways to lose games like that, and it feels like our kids are battling and they're finding ways to win. And I think last night, the volleyball game, they showed that cultural shift. They were battling and things got a little bit rough for them, and they dug down deep and they found a way. So not that we want to rely on finding a way all the time, and there's a sense of urgency inside this coaching staff, and we're pushing it down onto the players of we have to figure this out. We can't rely on hey, it's just going to happen. And that was kind of the feeling of Friday night. Was there was complacency, there was no sense of urgency, and we've had some practices like that, and we're prodding at these guys, trying to get them going and trying to figure out what makes them click.
You, to your credit, you had said before the game that Fairfield was coming ready to play football, and those guys did. I mean, the Case and Miller kid, you knew he was going to run the ball, and he ran the ball, and then they had a couple other breakout runs from the other running back there. But this is who you thought they were. That football team's not a bad football team at all. So, do you have a read of how good you guys are yet?
We don't. I mean, yes and no. We get a good feel early on against a really good Meepo team, but we know that they're always going to be solid. And obviously, our schedule from week 1, well, actually week 0 with Meepo starting, and then all the way until the very end is tough. We don't have cupcakes on our schedule, and that's fine, because we've done all the work in the in the off season, and the fine tuning the engine and figuring out who we are is going to be the important thing. And I feel like that's been us the last several years, because there hasn't been consistency as far as a lot of guys continuous, like 2-year starters and stuff like that. So we're replacing guys all the time. That's high school football, and just trying to figure out the identity. And when we look back, we were talking last night as an offensive staff, we look back, there were certain years that we thought we were going to be this type of team. For example, year 1 and 2, we thought we were going to be a zone team. And shoot, we ended up being a power team. We ran power all the time. Well, last year I felt like we ran more zone. We thought we were going to be a power team, and we ran a lot more zone. So just kind of figuring out what's going on with our guys, what system inside of our system they click with most.
Yeah. Just a couple observations out of last week, and I'll let you kind of respond to them as you want to here. But first thing out of the gate for me was Marcus Guzman was running differently against Fairfield than he did against Burlington. Against Burlington, it seemed to be running, waiting for contact. Fairfield, he was running, making contact. And I don't know if, as a head coach, if you like that, if you don't like that, I'm sure it has you on your toes a little bit when the play's taking place. But he was running with a little more confidence and a little more vision Friday than I thought he did the first week. The other thing is the play of Jamarcus Klein. Continues to lead the team in tackles. We haven't had a chance to chat with him yet, but I'm sure we're going to do that. Just talk about the play of those two, on both sides of the ball there and what you're seeing.
Yes, starting off with Marcus, I think that's the progression of Marcus Guzman. He he played safety last year. Yeah, he was the backup quarterback, but he didn't get a whole bunch of looks. I mean, and you think about it, we didn't play him a lot in JV. Why? Because he was our backup quarterback. So if he gets hurt in a JV game, and something happened to Boyer, like, we were lost, and so unfortunately for him, he didn't get a bunch of looks at quarterback. So we were just trying to piece it together with him. So you're seeing a progression with him right now, and he's becoming more and more confident. I think that.
Then we got Jeff Lamb on the. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I gotta get out of here. Pants for you. See you guys.
He's just becoming more and more confident, and he was seeking contact, and that's what we kept telling him was, hey man, you're 6'3", 215 pounds. A lot of these DBs don't want to tackle you.
That's right.
If we can plant a foot and get vertical instead of seeking them out and trying to run them over, you're going to get more yards, but you don't want to take it away from him who he is, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, he's a kid that wants to go out there, and he, for whatever reason, he likes to deliver the hit, and he's just running the ball hard, and we like that.
Yeah, well, and that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, you don't want to see him get dinged,
right,
but you also like to see that confidence of him coming around the corner and not being afraid to put his shoulder down.
Yeah, and I think
and get an extra yard.
A lot of the times when you're dealing with athletes, like you don't want to change who they are. You try to make some adaptations to help them, but he's a big physical kid, and Landis kind of was there a couple of years ago. Landis, even though he's not as big as Marcus, he was looking to run somebody over. He just had that dog in him, if you will. So
and he would carry him. He wasn't done until he was done.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he added a little bit of the plant the foot and make a move, and it just made him an even better runner. And Marcus will get there, and our coaching staff is working really hard with getting him there. And then Jamarcus, I've said it time and time again. I mean, Jamarcus Klein has no idea how good of a football player he is. He's just doing what he's coached to do. He's having fun playing the game. And it's like, dude, I wish you could see yourself through our eyes. And I told him this. I said, my dad has become a major fan of Jamarcus Klein. I mean, he's been talking about him nonstop. And I told Jamarcus that, and he got a big smile on his face. So
he had a smile on his face after the game Friday.
He's a great kid.
And that all comes with, I mean, those that study football know that that's because Ike Thatcher is as good as he is, and C.J. Arnett is as good as he is, and Brody Cashman is as quick and shifty and physical as he is.
Yeah.
Coaches have to deal with a lot of stuff on your defensive side of the ball that frees up a Jamarcus Klein to get in the backfield.
And getting a lot of our kids to understand that is the hard part, right? Like, they want the stats, especially nowadays with the stats being online the very next day, and all the cool graphics out there. They want the stats, but getting them to understand that systematic football is what is successful football. And you know what, man? We have in the past, we've spilt a lot of runs to linebackers and allowed them to clean up, so it's their name in the paper, but it's really the guys down with their hand in the dirt that are getting the job done.
Yeah.
And that's systematic football, so we're trying as a coaching staff to do our job of loving those kids up for doing their job and allowing other people to get the stats.
And I'm going to stay on the defense because I thought last week, not only did they play well, and Jamarcus, but your secondary picked it up. I think we had 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Wiseman had a tackle there at the end that I think a lot of people missed that probably could have been a game-saving tackle, but certainly prevented some overtime there when he drugged that kid down from behind.
Absolutely.
So some really good play out of your secondary. Obviously we can talk about Ben all day. But.
Yeah. Ben really, he had 3 interceptions. One got taken back because of a roughing the passer. But you look at how he played against Burlington, and he was right there all game long. And I think he had a tough matchup. He was with Sam Wheaton a lot. Sam Wheaton's a next level tight end. I mean, he's a kid that's going to go play football at the next level somewhere, I'm sure. And Ben was with him all night, and had a couple interceptions, broke some passes up. He's just playing really, really well right now. And he's having fun. I mean, you can just see it. Watching film yesterday, we were joking with him, and he's just smiling. He's enjoying it, and ultimately that's what it's about. So, but yeah, Henry Wiseman, he's just a ball hawk. He's a great secondary guy. He's playing three sides of the football, and he's out there giving effort on every single play. So, we did appreciate that effort. Obviously, late in the game, he's dog tired, and he runs it down backside. Then he ends up making the game-sealing interception.
Yep. Good play from both those guys. I know you guys don't like to talk about schedules, but you did bring that up a little bit. You've got a 2A team this week that's 1-1, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But then next week you've got, if I've got my schedule right, you've got Williamsburg, who just moved up into the beat up on Cedar Rapids Xavier in a really tight football game. Now they're number one in state. You've got Davenport Assumption. You've got Mount Vernon. You've got a Keokuk team that's playing better football. It doesn't get any easier for you guys after this week, and that's kind of bloodhound football, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what class you're in, what district you're in. There's always somebody down the road that's looking to, bump uglies with you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this week we're playing a team that was in the state quarterfinals last year. So Centerville is a great team. Coach Kovac has done a fantastic job there. He's had a staff that's stuck together for a long period of time now, and they've had success. Like I said, they made it to the state quarterfinals last year. So they're going to be a tough test. But I keep saying it, like, we do not have a cupcake on our schedule. We don't have a tune-up game or a rebound game or anything. But ultimately, if we want to be who we say we want to be, these are the teams that we have to play. And again, we've got to prove that we can compete with teams like this. We've got to find ways to beat teams like this. It's just part of the progression of Fort Madison football. If again, our goals are to be what we say we want to be, then we've got to have matchups like this.
Yeah. And that's all we'll say about the upcoming schedule, because Centerville they present some things that you've seen before. Dual threat quarterback, the Landon McGran kid, has got 430 yards passing and 250 yards on the ground. He's combined for 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It seems on paper anyway that he's their offense, but the last couple of years you've dealt with dual threat quarterbacks on multiple times. What kind of special challenge does he present?
Yeah, he's a good quarterback for sure. Dual threat, so you can't just totally sell out. I mean, we've been trying to find tails, and there are none. They run power really, really well with him, so they like quarterback power, and we're just gonna have to do what we do, and that's engage and disengage on blocks and get to where we're supposed to be, and just be tough. I mean, again, it's 11 versus 11, and we've got jobs to do, and if our kids are sold on their jobs and give it their effort, then we should have success. And if not, we got to make those fixes and get them into it.
They got a big is understatement. They got a 6 foot, 350 pound kid in this Nolan Barger. He doesn't show a lot on paper, but I would imagine that this guy's going to cause you some problems running the football.
Yeah, he's a big body. He does a good job at anchoring down. I heard he's bigger than 350, so you know how those stories go. But
right.
he's a big dude. He's a guy that stands out on film, and we're gonna have to get under him. We're gonna have to move him, and that's just football. It's not easy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's doing your job and understanding that it's gonna be difficult, but it'll be fine.
Yeah. They've got a couple of receivers here. One of them is a freshman. They got a Makoa Kalapani. I'm probably botching that name, and I'm sorry. This kid's averaging 31 yards a catch. He had an 83-yard score for them. And then the Ryan Senna kid, that seems to be McGran's favorite targets. But they've got some speed, obviously, on the outside there, and they're not afraid to throw the ball. This is the first team you go up against that'll mix it up a little bit. And I thought last week Fairfield threw, and Burlington really threw more than we expected them to throw.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a testament to what you guys do up front, but special challenges there with a couple of people on both sides that can catch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is a testament to what we're doing up front and stopping the run game. People are going to have to test our secondary, and our secondary knows that. And yeah, 22 for them. He's a nice player, and he's only a freshman. It's impressive. So he poses they pose a lot of problems. They're a well balanced team. They run a very nice system that fits them, and they're extremely well coached. They're going to be disciplined. They are shored up in their roles, and they're a good football team.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be ready to rock, and we've got to be ready to rock.
Switch back over to your offense just a little bit with me and talk about the run game. Marcus, clearly when he's moving around, is comfortable throwing at any point. If he's in the pocket or if he's moving, thinking about running, you got that run pass option thing going there, and he's not afraid to, at the very last second, let it go. So you're creating some space there for your receivers and making some good connections. Talking about the running game a little bit, I think that in your assessment would be that we've struggled to make our mark there. What do you see cuts that loose?
Well, you look at it and there's been a couple times where we're a cut away from breaking open a big run, and the holes are there. There's been a couple times where we've left our feet trying to jump instead of make a cut and get vertical. There's plenty of times where we're looking to run somebody over instead of make a move, and some of that's part of the game. You run a guy over a couple times, all of a sudden he thinks that he's going to get run over, and you make a move on him. And we're super close. I mean, we're one tackle away from breaking open a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And it just reminds me, I mean, we keep talking about it as a coaching staff. A couple years ago, it was like, man, we're there, we're so close. What's it going to take to finally break through the ice? And all of a sudden it happened. Now, it's not going to just happen. That group 2 years ago made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we're really trying to get into our kids' heads now, is we've got to make the adjustments. You have to make adjustments, and you have to make things happen. And that's been Coach Smith's message to these guys for the last 3 weeks now, is like, no more talk, make stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the simplicity of that, and it's 100% what we have to do. And our guys know it. Watching running backs yesterday in practice, Coach Lamb's put together some great drills for them to help urge that, and they looked really, really sharp. And again, we are one cut away from breaking open some big runs, because Hayden Segoviano in the open field is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Guzman in the open field is a problem. Brody Cashman in the open field, problem.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to get him there.
Yeah, and you showed that last week when you mixed Brody in there a little bit, and then threw that dump pass over the middle to him, which was extremely effective. I was even surprised to see 25 coming through,
Yeah.
and that was right in front of me. So I was surprised to see that. So you're certainly doing the things to keep defenses honest and being able to just key on one running back. I've got to ask you at this point if we're going to see Teague on the offensive side of the ball. He's having a great defensive year so far.
Yeah.
12 tackles. I think he had 7 solo, 2 for loss. Are you going to see him on the offensive side of the ball, or is that something that, I mean, we all know that Teague's a multi-sport athlete, and
Yep.
and he's got ambitions and goals set for himself, and I know that's part of your guys' process, and Coach Smith is on the team there too. So are we going to see him on the offensive side?
I wouldn't rule it out. And it might be a tailback, it might be a wing back, it might be a tight end. He's a special kid, and there's some things that we can do with him on the field, and he's getting better week by week, stronger and stronger, becoming more and more comfortable. So I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, you piqued my interest when you said tight end. That would be fun to see. I'm sure he could do some damage with the football in open space.
Yeah.
If he can catch it, can he catch it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a talented kid.
Good deal. So a little bit of a drive to Centerville. Does that ever get in the way of anything for you? I mean, we know we got to travel in this district. That's just part of the way it goes.
Yeah, I guess my mentality is it's only a problem if you allow it to be, and that's again just the mentality that we're trying to plug into our kids is, if you allow it to be a distraction, it's going to be a distraction. If you keep it simple and just focus on our standards, it is what it is. It's only going to be a problem if we allow it to. We're going to be up there in plenty of time. We've got our central nervous system prep ready to go. It's going to be a little bit different, but it's still going to prep us and have us ready to play football. Talking to the guys, why such a slow start the last couple weeks, and ownership. They owned it, and that's one of the things that's part of our process is ownership. And they said, that's on us. I asked them, what can I do different as your head coach? What can our coaches do as your coaches to get us away from this and get us going? And Hayden Scoviano spoke up instantly, and he said, it's on us. You guys are doing everything that you need to do. Right? So he's taking ownership. I know my coaches are trying to figure it out. They're taking ownership. I'm taking ownership. We're moving in the right direction, but as Coach Smith would say, we got to make it happen.
and I'm glad you brought up the slow start, because that's something you and I have talked about a lot, season to season, not just game to game. The other side of that coin is that these kids learn how to play in heavy games. I mean, they learn how to play with this play could decide the game, or this play could decide the game. And so a slow start is, you always like to come out and kind of get people on their heels. But I think you're a big teaching guy, and I think you're teaching these kids, how to play football in trying situations, and I think that's good for them.
Yeah, I mean, mental toughness, mental fortitude. Our kids have proven that they have it. We don't want to play with fire, because when you do, you get burnt sometimes, you know. And if there's something that we can change and can control, then let's do it. And figuring out who we are, and that's individual, and that's what I told them. If you're a guy that's got to go listen to like crazy heavy metal music and get psycho, if that's you at your best, then go do that. I'll be honest, I already know that I'm going to be just an intense competitor, even though I'm just a coach now, right? I try to listen to some Bob Marley, something to just calm me down, because I know that once that whistle blows, I'm seeing red. I'm ready to freaking go. But that's just knowing yourself as a competitor, and that's part of learning who you are throughout this whole thing, and finding out what makes you your best. And everybody's different, so we don't have a cookie cutter program that we can give to a kid and say, this is what you got to do to be ready. Like, that is just being very in tune with who you are.
And just a final thing here today, and again, thank you for your time this morning, but penalties. I think we had more penalties last week than I've seen the Hounds
18
generate.
for 170 yards.
Yeah. What was the message this week, and what was that a focus, or was that just, it's a hiccup, we're usually cleaner than that?
It's a double-edged sword, because I'll be honest, I told our offensive line, like, hey, we're to the point right now where we'll take probably an excessive blocking penalty. Right now we're just kind of bumping. We're not blocking somebody's butt through the whistle, and we got to get there. Now defensively, our guys are playing with their hair on fire and roughing the passer. We're almost getting there. Boom, we're a little bit late. It's not fun to take those penalties, but our kids are playing hard. I don't think very many of our penalties were just out of frustration, or just our guys kind of having a jerk moment. But without a doubt, we've got to clean that up, and we've got to help ourselves out. You put a target on yourself, and you're going to see more flags. And I might have disagreed with some things and tried having conversations, and that is the game. We've just gotta be better technically, move our feet. We stop our feet sometimes, which then causes a hold to happen. Again, very young offensive line figuring it out. Coach Weichert takes his job extremely serious, and that's driving him crazy right now. And you better believe he's fixing it.
Yeah. One of the quietest guys on the sidelines too. You'll ever usually the offensive line coach is the opposite.
Yeah.
And Josh just walks up and down the sideline with his headset on, and he's like, okay.
Yeah,
He'll even help me with a number every now and then. he can multitask, but yeah, quiet power there with Josh.
He is. He's a thinker, and he processes things very well, and thankful to have a guy like him and Coach Minky. Justin's the same way up in the headset. Said it before, I'm a roller coaster, man. Like, I love the emotions of the game. I love the ups for sure. I'm fist pumping, jumping. I'm excited. We're lucky if we get a fist pump out of Justin Minky, you know. But I'm also, you know, when we're down and things are tough, I enjoy that battle. You know, I love the emotions of the game, and that's probably why Justin Minky and Josh Weicker and Patrick Lamb, I mean, all the coaches balance me out, because I'm a roller coaster, and I know that about myself.
And they're completely engaged. Completely engaged. Well, I'm a 1970s Cincinnati Reds fan, so the Big Red Machine has got a special place in my heart. But this week they can take a seat. That Big Red Machine can take a seat, and you guys come out to a 21-0 first quarter lead and roll to a game, and then we'll get rodeo week behind us and move on with something here this season. So great start to the year. I appreciate your time every morning, and go Bloodhounds.
Thank you, Roll Hounds.